Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Box Office Talk. This is the show where I break down what happened at the box office, see if my predictions for the top 5 are correct, then make predictions for next week's top 5s. Let's get right on into it. Last week I predicted that number 1 would be Spider-Man No Way Home, number 2 would be Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul, number 3 would be The Invitation, number 4 would be Bullet Train, and number 5 would be Beast. And I got 2 out of 5 of my predictions right for this weekend. The second one was kind of accidental. The first one was very obvious. Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul did not even get into the top 10. So here's the quick flash of how much money it made and, what the budget was, if there is a budget out there. It, did not get into the top 10. It's sitting below it, like in number 13. So here's how badly it did. Whoops. I should have taken into consideration the Peacock thing, but I thought, numbers are low enough and, Jordan Peele's name is plastered on this thing. It might do well. Nope. Alrighty, let's get into the actual top 10. Number 1 was, no surprise to anyone, Spider-Man No Way Home. Obviously, it didn't do as big as it was doing when it first came out, but, that's expected because it's a re-release, and even the promise of new footage wouldn't necessarily completely entice the entire a demographic of Spider-Man fans once again to come back. They made $6 million this weekend though, adding to a domestic total of $812 million, so that puts it $46 million away from outgrossing Avengers Endgame. I don't think it's going to do that because this re-release number was not as big as some people might have thought it was going to be, and I think even when word was starting to spread about what the deleted scenes were that were going to be put in were, and they were like, I think I can skip extended jokes, I think that might have affected it well. Also, I should probably mention that it was like, celebration of cinema weekend or whatever the fuck the title was, cinema day, something like that. So tickets were, only $3 in order to celebrate and try to coax people to coming back. So a lot of these numbers are low because, September, some of these movies have been out for a while. Some people aren't interested in coming back to the theater. Some people still worried about COVID, and also ticket prices were low. So that's a big factor over all this as well. Worldwide, Spider-Man is now bumped up to $1,909 million. That's $139 million away from Infinity War. Like I said, probably not going to get to that, but, it's good to see Spider-Man back here. The thing is, though, is that I'm recording this on Sunday. Like I keep saying, I don't do this on Monday when the official numbers come out. It's easier to do on Sunday. It's a specific week that I've been doing forever. Whatever. Number 2, though, Top Gun Maverick, is very close. So when official numbers come out, especially with, Labor Day weekend, with that Monday, it could potentially overtake Spider-Man because it made $5.49 million. That is pretty damn close. You know what I mean? That adds to a domestic total of $700 million, so it just outgrossed Black Panther by a couple $100,000. It now sits at number 5 on the all-time domestic runs of all time list, which is pretty incredible. It needs $60 million to get to Avatar's number 4, and now I think we're in a spot where I can say it probably won't be getting there because $60 million is quite a bit, and I think now we're kind of at a point where, okay, now that it's been on digital, and, we're getting into a different season of movies and we're transitioning to people going back to school and getting excited for these different kind of movies instead of the big summer blockbusters. I think now will be a time where it will probably stop breaking a lot of these records, except for the worldwide total. It's now sitting at $1,440 million, and it needs $5 million more to outgross Frozen 2's entire worldwide run and get to the number 11th spot for the highest grossing worldwide movie list, which is pretty damn incredible. So even while it's slowing down, it is still kicking ass, which is incredible. Number 3, which surprised the hell out of me, I can't wait for the inspirational The Rock post about this on Instagram, DC League of Super Pets, jumping up from number 6 last weekend to number 3. Obviously, these numbers are very close together, and they're all very small, and when it comes to Labor Day weekend, it's right before, in some places where school is starting up again, so a lot of families will be trying to find something to do. So this movie made $5.45 million this weekend. That adds to a domestic total of $80 million. Hey, it's just $10 million away from actually crossing its initial production budget of $90. Incredible. It's $3 million away from also outgrossing Smallfoot in the WAG animation list of all-time grosses. And then worldwide, it is sitting at $153 million. So $30 million away from Storks, which is the movie I'm pitting it against from last weekend, but also it is about $27 million away from doubling its $90 million budget, so it's still not fucking close to doing that, but it got a little bit of an uptick. But this next movie at number 4 that has the same fucking budget as DC League of Super Pets just doubled it and is now 16 million over that being Bullet Train. It made $5.40 million this weekend, which adds to a domestic total of 87 million. But worldwide, it now sits at $196 million. So not only is it 16 million over its doubling point for its $90 million budget, it's 4 million away from 200 million worldwide, which is a pretty damn good number if you ask me. As far as the other Brad Pitt films that I started to compare it just outgrossed Fury by $2 million, and it needs 13 million more to outgross Seven. That's domestically. Worldwide, it outgrossed Legends of the Fall by a huge margin, by 36 million, and it needs 14 million to outgross Fury. That's pretty damn incredible. You know, I'm very happy that this movie is doing very well, and I just think it's super funny that it did better than what a lot of people assumed would be a surefire hit, Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart's DC Super Pets film. Number 5, we have The Invitation. You know, big drop off, even though it didn't open huge last weekend. It literally opened with like 7 million, maybe a couple 100,000 below that. It dropped to number 4, which is not bad when comparing it to how low last weekend was. That adds to a domestic total of $14 million. Worldwide, it is now sitting at 18 million, so just 2 million away from doubling its $10 million budget. It's probably definitely going to do that. It's not going to just fall off completely. Like it's got a bit of an audience to get that 20 million, its doubling point, not a tripling point. I don't think, unless there's some places worldwide where it's going to boom, I don't think it'll triple this budget or anything, but, you know, it won't be a total loss as far as, you know, how much money was put into this project, but, man, you open at number 1, you can't even hold it at number 2, you know, it's pretty sad, you know, especially when the numbers are this low, you know, and you were the number 1 movie last weekend, and now you're number 5. You know, you're losing out to movies that have been out. Literally, the number 1 movie this weekend is a movie that came out last year. Number 6, we have Beast making 3.6 million, adding to a domestic total of $26 million. 5 million till Balthazar Kormaker's Adrift. Maybe it'll get there next weekend or the weekend after that. That's my time frame. It's either next weekend after, but it will outgross Adrift domestically. Worldwide, it is sitting at $47 million. So it's 10 million away from outgrossing Adrift, but also it needs about 25 million more to double that $36 million budget. Not sure if it's going to do that. You know, I think it might have a chance to outgross Adrift's entire theater run, but getting to 72 million, it's a simple doubling point for a $36 million budget. I don't think it's possible. You know what I mean? It's kind of looking like it's not going to do that. You know, at least it crossed over the initial production budget, you know, number. You know, DC League of Super Pets couldn't even do that, you know, domestically. But still, it's kind of a bummer, you know. I was hoping that, you know, with how dry the season was about to get, that this movie would be able to stand a chance, and it just kind of hasn't, you know. I guess my video didn't work. Number 7, we have Minions: The Rise of Gru making 3.1 million, adding to a domestic total of $359 million. It needs 9 million more to outgross Despicable Me 2 and The Secret Life of Pets to be the highest grossing Illumination film domestically. Hell, you know, it's been sticking around this long, maybe it has a chance of doing that. Because worldwide, now it's sitting at $890 million. It just outgrossed a film that I have been pitting it against for a while, The Secret Life of Pets. It made 5 million over that entire worldwide run. Now it's the number 4 highest grossing Illumination film worldwide. It needs 85 million till Despicable Me 2, and that's a big number. That's a big challenge that I don't think they'll get. But still, this is pretty damn good for the Minions. The gentle Minions out there that came and always supported them. Good job. Unless that's a dead meme and that only lasted for like a weekend, and then the actual families and dumb kids in the audience took over. Number 8, we have Thor: Love and Thunder making 2.44 million, adding to a domestic total of $340 million. It needs 49 million to outgross Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, but since it's going to be coming out on Disney Plus in like 4 days, you know, expect, you know, the number to, obviously it's dropped off a lot since it premiered in July, but expect it to drop off even more. Worldwide, it is sitting at 748 million, which is 22 million from Guardians Volume 1. I don't know what else to say about this movie. You know, I've talked ad nauseum about this thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's 2 million away from, you know, tripling its $250 million budget, which is too damn high if you ask me, but, you know, it's still 2 million away from doing that. So, you know, it will get there. So congrats, Thor. Moving on to number 9, which is Dragon Ball Superhero, still clinging on for dear life, making 2.40 million, adding to a domestic total of $34 million. Worldwide, it is sitting at 77 million, so still chugging along, still doing pretty well as far as I know. You know, obviously it's dropped off pretty well. It's probably not going to be here next weekend if I'm gonna guess like that. I don't think it'll be here next weekend, but that's kind of, I feel like this is usually the run of these anime films where, especially if it's tied to like Dragon Ball, it'll release, pretty high. And then next weekend it'll drop off because everyone saw it opening weekend, all the fans, the diehards. And then third weekend, maybe it'll still hang around, but it's ultimately just going to drop off. So about average kind of run, if I do say so myself. And then finally, number 10, another re-release, closing this thing out. This is the weekend of re-releases. Steven Spielberg's Jaws in 3D, making $2.3 million, adding to the overall domestic total of that film to $260 million worldwide, now sitting at 470 million. So obviously not the biggest bump in the world, but still, the fact that it got into the number 10 spot at all is pretty damn special. Some people do regard re-releases as kind of like a, why would I go to that when I can just watch it at home? It's already out on DVD, unless you promise something more, like, Spider-Man. But even Spider-Man didn't even get a whole lot more money. So Jaws getting in here is kind of special. That's all I gotta say about that. But now it's time for the predictions for next week's top 5. So number 1, I'm gonna go with Barbarian. I think for sure, this will get number 1. I'm not gonna try to predict Medieval. I don't think that has a chance. I've been burned too many times on trying to predict movies that I knew didn't have a chance before, but still wanted to give some hope to. I'm not gonna predict Medieval. I'm not gonna predict that After movie, whichever fucking subtitle they have now. So number 2, I'm gonna go with Spider-Man No Way Home. Number 3, Top Gun Maverick. Number 4, DC League of Super Pets. And number 5, Bullet Train. But what are your predictions for next week's top 5? Leave them in the comments below. And if you got your predictions right for this week, you're gonna get a shout out right now. Unless you didn't get it right, then I'm sorry. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.